Welcome to Advent of Tessellations 2023. I'm Madonna Yoder, and I hope you will join hundreds of origami folders around the world in folding this daily challenge to increase your origami tessellation folding skills, so the twists and repeating patterns folded all from a single sheet of paper. On day 23 of Advent of Tess, we are folding this pattern that I call Detour, and there's many ways to finish it outside of this, but we're going to be using a very simple start, closed hexagon with closed triangles at tube pleat spacing, and seeing, yeah, actually, a trapezoid is a valid thing to come next, not just hexagon or rhombus. So let's dive in. We're going to start with the closed hexagon twist, which has all of our mountain folds coming to the corner of the paper and the valley above on the right-hand side, because I nearly always start my tessellations with a right-handed twist, and that's partly due to what I usually do for my display pieces, which is rotated grids. And if you then do a rotated grid and start your twist or start your piece on the wrong handedness of twist, you will not end up with the desired border effect. So I always start my pieces with a right-handed twist. And I'm going to bop it, grab it, twist it to get it down into place, and do a little bit of pinching, maneuvering to make sure all those layers are in the right place before I use my bone folder to smooth everything out. And let's zoom in to do the next steps. So next up, we're going to have our triangles around this hexagon, and they're going to be on the opposite side. So go ahead and flip your paper over. I'm going to have my valleys, one spacing out from the folded mountain, my mountain one spacing further than that. And as I set that up, I'm also going to run that third direction of mountain fold out from the grid intersection where the first two mountains meet, and squash that down. Now, since I'm putting my next twist back on the hexagon side, the opposite side from where I'm folding these triangles, I'm going to continue around clockwise to make friendly overlaps for the other side. And I'm going to do every single triangle in exactly the same way. So valley, one space from the folded mountain, mountain, one space further than that. Set up, causing a pleat overlap, and squash. And I'm going to repeat that step, and I'll slow down for the final one, because we're going to want to reorder some layers to make sure that all of our overlaps are exactly the same. And so on this final one, instead of causing a pleat overlap directly here, I want to reorder. So my new valley will go through first, my new mountain will close on top, and once that's fully closed, and generally once I set up the third direction of mountain so that this part of the paper can stay pretty flat, then I'll let my original pleat from the first triangle close over it. And I'm going to do my normal pleat overlap above this twist, and then squash, and flipping over, we have this start that is full of potential. We've definitely seen this start, if not in this series of Advent of Tess, then in last year's. Last year we did a version where we then put open hexagon twists in this area. Today's going to be really similar. It's going to be closed triangles. Or sorry, not open trapezoids, that other T word. So one thing we can look at in the photo, or if you have a finished one, or in the crease pattern, is where are my 3 single depth pleats? And we can see, okay, the single depth pleats, the middle one's coming from the triangle that is most counterclockwise. So the upper of the 2 triangles that are going to overlap in a particular overlap. I'll orient this the same way. And then I have another pleat that is making a tube with that upper triangle. So that's enough information for me to say, okay, I'm going to need a tube with that upper triangle. So my valley is going to be 1 spacing away from this vertical mountain. And my mountain will be 1 space further. And now I can open up my pleats, setting up this new one, and it's going to be more stable if I tuck it under these other flaps. And the central of these 3 single depth pleats is going to determine the mountain of the double depth pleat. And that is going to set up there and squash. And the this outer corner is going to hit right at the edge of the paper on a 16-fold grid. And voila, there I have my trapezoid. Now, do I want to lean into the density and work in the dense stuff all the way around, or do I want to go to this nice open area where I don't have to tuck anything under anything? Definitely the open area. This is not causing any new pleats that are needing to be resolved on this size of grid. That would be true if we had more grid, but I'm still going to go to this more open area where I'll have that valley for the tube. And now this is heading up this way. One thing to notice, if you are using more grid, getting more repeats, the double depth pleat is headed out this way, and those 2 are going to run into each other fairly soon. So you'll need a plan of how to manage that. And then my middle pleat is determining the mountain of the double depth pleat. And I can go ahead and squash. And rinse, repeat. I'll do it again. So our options when we have a hexagon, then triangle start, we can put any hexagon, same or different as the center on either side of the paper, any rhombus, open or closed either side of the paper, any trapezoid, open or closed. These are open. I haven't shown you the closed ones, but you can search on my YouTube channel for trapezoid twists and that'll come up. And there's really a huge number of options for what comes next after a hexagon surrounded by triangles. Granted, for some choices of hexagon and triangle, some of these options that I listed out are not going to be available at the given spacing that you chose to fold. But you can always space the triangles further out, and eventually you'll be able to fit in any of these different twist options. And that's not even getting into general sizes of each of these. You can have bigger hexagons, rhombi, trapezoids. This is just sticking with the open and closed options. So this last one, just like the others, it uncovers that little bit that we had stuck underneath. And we can set up our final twist of the day. Just like that. All right, so happy folding, everyone. And I hope you'll join me for tomorrow's tessellation, where we're going to do something extremely similar, but we're going to be using the start from day 13, where we have open triangles and dent spacing around the closed hexagon. So happy folding, and see you then.